Hey, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at Dent. I do want to say that I'm not a financial advisor and you should do your own research before investing money into crypto. Now, jumping into the weekly chart. And by the way, if you haven't seen the previous update, it's going to be linked in the top right hand corner of your video. Make sure to check it out before watching this one because I'm not going to be repeating a lot of the stuff that I said in the previous video. So, finally, jumping into the weekly chart. So as you can see, we're barely holding the 20 EMA on the weekly chart. And I do think this price action here is going to end up as a wick, just like we see over here, these wicks. So if this is just going to be a wick below the 20 EMA, I don't think we're coming back down and bouncing off the 55 EMA over here. I brought the drawings, apologize. So I think this is a very good time to enter Dent right now because we're holding support, barely holding support on the 20 EMA. And usually this is the best time to be entering because you can see when you have these wicks off the 20 EMA, you usually appreciate very nicely off of these wicks and you can just sell when you have a move towards the upside. If you're entering Dent, for example, and you don't want to be holding long term, this is just a midterm hold for you until you reach a certain resistance level. And let's say you want to reach this previous wick over here that we had on the weekly chart. So that would give you a 38% move to the upside. And that's a pretty good trade in my opinion, without any technicals, without any indicators, without any Fibonacci retracements. You can just look at the previous resistance over here of this candle and see where you potentially can get rejected. And this is where you sell if you buy in right now, basically. So yeah, 39% is what you're looking at. But obviously, we do have more targets to the upside, and we do think we're going to get a bit more overextended on Dent in this bull market because you can see that here, when we had the first peak for the bull market, look how overextended it got. So this is January 18th, and it ended up over here April 5th with a 9,246% move. So yeah, it's crazy. It really is crazy how these things have moved. And right now we are in a period of consolidation. The EMAs have come back together on the weekly chart, and we're going to be waiting for that, parabolic rise to the upside. Okay, now jumping into the daily chart. So last video I did give you this ascending triangle. This yellow triangle that you see over here is an ascending triangle because you get rejected from one zone over here, but you're constantly making higher lows. And you're starting to lose it over here. So you lost this support trend line of the triangle, and now you're forming some sort of a falling wedge. Actually, now this is looking like a very nice falling wedge for me, and we do have a target. So the target for the falling wedge is where the falling wedge was initially created. So that would be at 0.008538. And you can see that we're kind of approaching the apex of the falling wedge at the minute. And usually what you see with falling wedges, and they're very good in terms of, playing out. So usually we always get to the target of the falling wedge, and we always get to the target where the falling wedge was created. So the falling wedges are one of the best patterns to trade off of. So yeah, so it's good that we're in this falling wedge, a bullish pattern, but it's bad because we've fallen out this larger ascending triangle. And as you know, the bigger the pattern, the bigger the time frame, the more importance it has. Okay, so here, what I'm expecting is if we start breaking up, there is a possibility that we can get rejected off of this trend line, off of this yellow trend line of the ascending triangle. So potentially what I'm looking for is us coming back into this yellow pattern and consolidating and then breaking to the upside from the apex of this large ascending triangle. That is something that I'm looking for. Obviously, you can do this in just one strong move towards the upside, but that would be a bit unhealthy, but it's not out of the question because we're approaching December. And as you know, in a bull market in December, things go parabolic. So just keep in mind that when you sell, it can potentially fly in the next 15 minutes after you sell. So always know your targets and don't feel greed and don't be greedy because when you have a target and then you decide to hold it even further out, because you think that the project is going to appreciate even more, then it ends up dumping most of the time, and you just sit there with your coins, and you would think that, hey man, I should have sold when I had my initial targets, and I would have been good to buy back in now, but I was greedy. So it's good to stick with your plan and to adhere to your plan and not to deviate from it midway through. Now, jumping into the daily RSI. So as you can see, we've come through this yellow rectangle, as I said, and I did say that if we were to lose this yellow rectangle buy zone anywhere from 46.99, which I said was a nice place to start dollar cost averaging into Dent. So if you started buying through these dips, you've had a nice you've had nice entry points. And now, as you can see, we had a bounce off this trend line over here, we had a bounce off this trend line over here, and now we're potentially looking for that last bounce before we start moving up. Obviously, if we lose this trend line, it's not going to be looking very good, but it would still mean that you have even better entry options. And we potentially can do something like this: break down, hit this as resistance, and start creating some sort of a pattern over here. But sometimes what happens is you just have a little fake out, and then you come back up above the resistance or the support. So as you can see, this was held very nicely ever since July of this year. So I do expect this trend line to hold, and I do expect us to have come up over here by the end of the bull market. Obviously, in the daily chart, this will be your take profit zone, and you have to be ready to take profits, right? I'm not forcing anyone to take profits, not forcing anyone to sell. You do what you want to do. I'm just showing you the options and showing you some tools that may assist you in setting your own personal targets. Okay, now jumping into Binance on the daily. So the blue falling wedge over here is the one that we just covered, okay? And we do have a horizontal or a symmetrical triangle over here, as you can see. So we're making lower highs, and we're making lower highs and higher lows. And as you can see, we came back into the pattern, and now I do expect a breakout from the pattern, and that breakout roughly will give us 0.00813, and the target from the falling wedge gives us a target of 0.008539. So this yellow rectangle is going to be our little take profit zone, because both of these patterns have targets towards this yellow zone. And once we get there, I do expect we might get rejected from there. So it would be a nice place to take profits and then buy back in. So I'm not saying you should sell over here, but it would definitely be a nice place to take profits if you're not holding Dent for long term and you're just, trading this as a speculative asset. So it would be a 50% trade from here. So honestly, this is a pretty good freaking trade in my opinion. But as you can see right now in this symmetrical triangle, we are holding the lower support over here, and we may potentially come back down, lose it, and continue on with this falling wedge. So if we lose this symmetrical triangle, then the first target over here from the symmetrical triangle won't be our target at the minute, and we'll be targeting the point where the falling wedge was created, and that would be our only pattern that we're looking for. Because if you fall out of the symmetrical triangle, obviously no targets towards the upside, you have targets towards the downside. Now, one thing that I also want to do is I want to set up a Fibonacci retracement to see how low we potentially can end up going down. Actually, before I do that, let's jump into the oscillators. So stochastic RSI on the daily chart is over here in the oversold. So this is a good point to enter Dent when you see stochastic on the daily or on the weekly chart in this oversold position over here. That's usually a good time to enter, and we see a lot of projects actually on the daily chart in that position. So the MACD has printed a bearish cross November 9th, and this is a lagging indicator, obviously, but we did see depreciation in price ever since we got the bearish cross. So this is a very useful indicator if you use it correctly and you use it with the money that you don't plan, to hold in a certain coin for a very long time, right? If this is something that I'm trading, on and off, then, this is a perfect indicator for me. And yeah, now let's jump into the 4-hourly chart and see what's going on over there, and we'll actually slap on the fib on the 4-hourly chart. So stochastic has started moving up, but we had the trend reversal midway over here, midway through, and now potentially we're coming back into the zone once again. So on the 4-hourly chart, it would be a nice place to start buying in when you're in this oversold on the 4-hourly stochastic. Now jumping into the MACD over here. So yeah, we just got a bullish cross followed by a bearish cross relatively soon. It's because of the Bitcoin pullback, obviously, but you know, like I say, during these times, this is the best time to be entering, and this is the best time to be accumulating more coins. So you see on the 4-hourly chart, we do have this sort of resistance over here. So this is something that we want to break through. And before we do that, you're still good to buy, because usually when you break horizontal resistance, you do that with authority. Okay, now jumping into the price action and jumping into our candles. So I do want to throw on a fib. Okay, so we have the fib set up on the 4-hourly chart from this swing low over here, October 27th, to the swing high over here, November 2nd. And you see that we're holding the 0.236 very nicely over here. As you can see, we're coming back down for support on the 0.236. And I think in the last video I did say that potentially we can come back for a double bottom pattern. But, you know, we're forming a nice double bottom pattern over here. As you all know, it's a bullish pattern. You have your neckline over here of the double bottom pattern. That's where you got rejected. So you take a trend line from the bottom of the pattern to the very resistance over here. Then you take that trend line and place it on the neckline and see where your target is. So that is basically going to be our target at 0.007239. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm going to leave the double bottom pattern in there so I don't forget about it. But other than that, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to let me know if I missed out anything on the charts, or correct me if I said anything wrong. I do appreciate always your support and your pointers. But make sure to check me out on Twitter. Check me out on the Telegram chat that we do have. We do have a Discord server. And we also do have a Patreon with different memberships that allow you to get early access to my buys, sells, low cap gem calls, and a lot of really important stuff that's going to help you make more money. And it's just more of a personal one-on-one connection with you guys. So it's a great way to support me, obviously, and it's a great way for me to give back to those of you who want, you know, more exclusive content. So it's a win-win situation in my opinion. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. And also make sure to check out ExpressVPN down below in the description. You can get 3 months for free if you sign up for the link that I have down below. Obviously, it does support the channel as well, but I think here in the crypto space, it is very important to keep our data safe, and ExpressVPN is here to help us all. So thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.